meetups, maybe on site, and as well as like okay, in recent time we are doing more virtual meetups. And today it's gonna be our meetup with Anypoint Code Builder, like today in Munich, as in like virtual event. So to introduce ourselves, like the organizers are like Chinmay, Ganesh, and Shakti, myself. So and the speaker is gonna for today would be like Shubham Singh. Like I would like to give it to Chinmay for introducing himself. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Shakti. Hey, everyone. My name is Chinmay. I'm based in Munich. Started this meetup a few years ago, I think in somewhere in 2019. There has been a lot of meetups since then. There has been a gap since our last meetup, but I think we are kickstarting this year with this meetup, and there will be a couple more coming in shortly. And a warm welcome to everyone. I'm a technical architect from MuleSoft Professional Services in Germany. And yeah, you can reach out to me anytime by just clicking on the contact the organizers thing. Okay. So I'll hand it over back to Shakti or Ganesh. Please introduce yourself. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Ganesh, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Shimei. Hi, myself Ganesh. I've been living in Munich, and we started this meetup group in 2019, and it has been running for almost 4 years. So myself, I'm an integration consultant at Union Tank Exchange GmbH. So, warm welcome to the meetup, and we'll be having a great session today. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Ganesh. Myself Shakti, and I'm being like a part of this MuleSoft organizing meetup in Munich for almost like 4 years, as like we discussed it. And I'm currently working as as an integration architect in BMW. And yeah, I would like to discuss more on like integrations with MuleSoft further. Yeah, thanks. I'll leave it to Shubham next.
Yeah, thank you, Shakti. So I'm Shubham. I'm from India. This is my first time speaking as a meetup speaker. So I'm from Progress Software, working as a senior software engineer, and has a background of 3 years from MuleSoft. So yeah, hopefully this meetup will go very well. So warm welcome to everyone. Thank you, Shakti.
Yeah, thanks, guys. So our next point would be the safe harbor statement. Like both the speakers and host are organizing this event in individual capacity only. We are not representing our companies here, and this is strictly for learning purpose only. And organizers and presenters do not hold any responsibility for the same solution that will work for your business requirement. This presentation is not meant for any promotional purposes as well. So housekeeping, you guys can read it quickly. This meetup would be recorded, and it will be uploaded within like 24 hours in our YouTube and the social media within like MuleSoft meetups as well. And questions which are submitted in the Q&A tab, which you can see it in the screen, like is also like you can use it. And then like, okay, let's be more interactive by asking questions. So we would try to answer as much as possible, and we can make it like interactive. And also we would like to have feedbacks from you guys. So rate this meetup session by filling up the feedback form at the end of the day, end of this meetup. So we always love feedbacks. So if you have any slow networks, or like if you're not able to see the meetup properly, then like, okay, please try to disconnect and join back. And then like you can use the URL which I have posted in the chat to make sure like your network it's working good for you. Right. So let's go ahead with the agenda. What we are going to see today in our meetup is the important announcements, whatever like we have it within MuleSoft, and we are going to check about Anypoint Code Builder and the demo of Anypoint Code Builder, and we would have a Q&A session followed by the feedback session, and we would have a networking and a wrap up at the end of this meetup session. And I would now leave it to Ganesh for giving us the important announcements for MuleSoft.
Yeah, thanks, Shakti. So basically, we have the chat window and then also the Q&A window open. So in the meantime, when we discuss about the topics, and if you have any questions or any clarification needed, just feel free to ask that in the chat or in the Q&A window. The presenter or the speaker will address it later or maybe during the session also. So yeah. Yeah, pointing to that, the next segment is about the new latest MuleSoft releases, and one of the new releases is that Mule 4.6 runtime. And as we all know that last year we got Mule 4.5 runtime Edge released, and continuation to that, the MuleSoft is releasing Mule 4.5. MuleSoft is releasing sorry additional runtime channels. So they are Edge and then also LTS. So Edge is basically for short-term updates, like all the features what we get for the MuleSoft that will be released on a quarter basis. The first version of Edge for 4.6 is releasing this February, and then following to that, the subsequent releases will happen in June and October. And this is mostly focused for the customers who are all prioritizing for their shorter maintenance coverage, and also looking to get new features for their integrations. And along with that, MuleSoft is also releasing the LTS channel, so which is the long-term support channel. So this is completely based on Mule's Java. I'm sorry, Shruti. Okay, sorry, yeah. So the long-term, the MuleSoft LTS is for the long-term support, and also it supports Java long-term LTS release. And so why MuleSoft is moving from Java 8 to Java 17? Because many third-party libraries, they are being out of stock, and they are stopping their support for the legacy Java version. And yeah, can you go to the next screen, Shakti? Yeah. So now in Anypoint platform, we can choose the appropriate release channel. So there are three options. The first option is to enable the customers to choose the edge. The edge one is the default one, and the LTS, or if you don't choose anything, like if you're keeping it as none, the previous runtime version will be maintained. And the support for the edge version is for 4 months, and the extended support is for another 4 months. So basically, Mule 4.6 Edge released this February. So the standard support is there till June, and the extended support till October. The same goes for other subsequent versions. And for Mule 4.6 LTS, the standard support ends in 12 months. So from this February to the next year February, and the extended support from 25 February to the 26 February. And there is an option to switch from the LTS Mule 4.6 LTS version to Mule Edge version. So if, let's say, if you're having some new features in any of the Edge versions, in let's say in October or in June, we are having some new features added into Mule 4.7 Edge releases of runtimes, then we can possibly change it. And when you wanted to again move it to the long-term support, then it is feasible, because these changes are migrated to the LTS version only by the next year, so which is Mule 4.9 release in the next February. Can you go to the next slide, Shakti? So here we have the release cadence. So here it's so we have the release date of each Mule runtime as shared here. So maybe you can just simply go through it. The main thing to note here is that with 4.6, it supports Java 8 and Java 17, whereas from Then next year, from 4.9, the support for Java 8 is ending. So it supports only Java 17. So it would be better to start planning to migrate it to Mule 4.6 runtime versions in the meantime, this year or next year for all the applications. And yeah, Shakti, can you go to the next slide? Yeah, the next important announcement is about the telemetry exporter. So basically, telemetry exporter, it provides deeper insights about the application execution. So it basically provides all the traces for the about the MuleSoft products and its services. So this is similar to how we are externalizing our logs to Splunk and Kibana. It's not the similar, but it is similar approach. So with the help of log4j2 configuration, we can export the MuleSoft application and services traces into the third-party observability tools, something like Datadog or Splunk Hick or Azure Monitor. And currently, this feature is exclusively available for the applications which are deployed through Cloud 2.0. And so this telemetry exporter is currently in public state. And yeah, Shakti, to the next slide, please. Yeah, and there's one more expected release, which is distributed tracing. So basically, a distributed tracing is it's basically allows in an IT operation world, it allows a quicker diagnosis and then remediation of errors. So it basically provides an overview idea of a transaction from an UI to the middleware to the backend. So users can visualize and perform faster root cause analysis with the help of distributed tracing. So this feature is also currently available only for the applications deployed via Runtime Fabric and also with Cloud 2.0. And currently this is in public beta and we are expecting it to be released soon actually. Yeah. Following to that, Shakti, can you just move to the next slide? Yeah. So we have a short video about these product updates here. Can you just play it, Shakti? Think you have not enabled the sound volume, I guess, Shakti. Shakti, I think you are not enabled the volume. The sound is not there.
Okay, let me try to put it again. All right. Now,
No, maybe can you try it in the browser?
Structure is critical in delivering for internal stakeholders and customers alike.
Yeah, it's
That's why
yeah.
MuleSoft is excited to announce the launch of 3 key innovations for Anypoint monitoring. Anypoint Insights lets you examine your application network subset by different logical entities. Distributed tracing is the ability to append a trace to track a request through your application network to get a holistic understanding of your stack health. And Telemetry Exporter, the ability to export real-time telemetry data to your observability ecosystem, like Datadog, Splunk, and Dynatrace, built on the Open Telemetry standard. Let's take a look at Anypoint monitoring. This is the Anypoint Insights dashboard. You can drill into the health status of various entities across your Mule ecosystem and search across business groups and environments to identify entities that are impacting performance. Next, let's head over to traces. With the launch of distributed tracing, Anypoint users can now see a collection
Yeah, I think there's some problem with the sound, I guess. I think. Sorry for that. Actually, I posted the respective video in the chat, so maybe later on you can just go through it. Actually, for quick reference. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience. Yeah, Shakti, go to the next slide. Shakti. Yeah. Okay, so the next announcement is about the GraphQL API schemas. And so basically now we can add the GraphQL schemas in the Exchange as an asset, and we can dig through the different data types and fields and then relationships in a schema visually that we can represent it. And we also have the feasibility to uh, see the different available API methods, query methods available in the API schema. Also, we can execute our GraphQL queries, and then we can, with the help of the query editor, and we can see the results in real time. So this is something similar to the mock that we have in REST APIs. So this is one new update that we have it with MuleSoft. And so with this, we covered the announcement part. So I'll hand it over to Shubham to start with the Anypoint Code Builder. So yeah, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Shubham.
Thank you so much, Ganesh. So yes, we'll be starting with Anypoint Code Builder. So next slide, Shakti. So I'll give a brief intro about the Anypoint Code Builder. So it's the next gen IDE which is provided by MuleSoft. It allows us to like build the whole API lifecycle inside a single environment. Like previously we had Design Center and Studio. So now it can be done in the same platform. Okay, so this has been built on VS Code. So VS Code is like widely known for the best IDE for the developers. So yes, so now it's available in MuleSoft as well, and it allows us to code via cloud as well. So you can open it in the browser and code it via your tablets or your laptops or your phones. So that is something you don't need an actual instance of Visual Studio Code on your particular machine for that as well. So these are the new features which are added. Uh, it has the potential to add the power of AI as well. So generative flows is a new concept which has been going on in the market. So that has been introduced with uh, ACB, but the problem is that it will be introduced in some days. So it's in pilot phase currently. So we'll be using Einstein for that. So that will be showcased in a few days. So that's the basic intro about Anypoint Code Builder. So we'll go to the next slide. Yeah, so Anypoint Code Builder provides us three types of things in order to develop and complete the whole API lifecycle. It's design, implement, and develop. So first I'll talk about the design. Next slide, Shakti. So it allows us to design the API specification. It's very similar to how we design it inside Design Center. You will see while the demo is going on. So we can use OS 3.2 and as well as RAML 1.0 version to write our ramls or API specification. It allows us to seamlessly interact with Exchange as well from the Visual Studio Code. It has the API console for the documentation part, similarly to the Design Center, as well as it allows us to do the mocking service for the API specification as well. So the next slide. So implementing of the API. So as we know, once we have the specification, we can use that specification in order to implement the API. So that can be done by this option. It allows us dual flows. So what happens? It has a GUI as well as the XML part. So you can like interact with both of them. You can import and scaffold the API specification as well as build, run, and deploy the application seamlessly from the same platform. Going to the next slide. Yeah, so it has the option to develop an integration as well. So it needn't be a REST connector. It can be anything, any kind of integration we are working with can be done using the same ID. We can, it follows us the best practices. It gives us good recommendations. You can do it via the cloud, as I talked earlier, from the browser. You can use snippets, which I'll be talking about in the later slides, as well as it allows us to publish as well from the same environment, everything seamlessly. Okay, so next we'll be going to the demo part. So if you can go to the next slide, Shakti, and the next one. So this is the agenda for today. This is the demo which I'll be showing on. So yeah, I'll be taking over the screen. Yes, so we'll start from the start via how we can set up the whole ACB thing. So first we need to have an Anypoint platform account. So we log in to the Anypoint platform account. Just refresh. So once you are logged in, you can go to the code builder. Then there will be a prompt appearing over here. So I have already approved it. So it will be asking you to accept some user agreement. Once you have approved it, then you will be able to see this particular screen. So here you'll have two options. One will be to do it via the cloud IDE, which I was talking about. It will open a browser instance to work with. It's very similar to the normal Visual Studio Code, which we'll be showing in the demo today. So we'll be showing the desktop version of the Anypoint Code Builder, right? So if you click on install here, it will reroute you to Visual Studio Marketplace. Here we can see that there are three prerequisites which we need to have inside our systems before starting with ACB. We need to have Visual Studio Code 1.76.1 or later versions. We need to have Git installed in our system, as well as we need to have an Anypoint platform account. If we have all the three things, so I have the Visual Studio Code, I have the Git installed, and as well as I have the Anypoint platform account set up. So if I click on install here, it will redirect me to the Visual Studio Code. So we'll be redirected to a page looking something like this. So I've already installed it, but there will be an option to install it. Once you install, we'll have like 7 additional packages which will be installed with it. All these packages are like several different, it serves a different purpose for like deploying or installing or all those stuff. So you can check all these things when we are installing. Okay, so once this is done, you will be able to see a MuleSoft icon popping up in your ACB panel. So it will be called Anypoint Code Builder. So I'll open this. So this is the page which you will be greeted with once you have installed it on your system. Okay, so before starting to implement or design an API, like writing the YAML, we need to connect it with the Anypoint platform account. Okay, so in that also we have like the US control plane as well as the EU control plane. So how do we change that? Because that's the first thing which we have to do, as we have to like log into Anypoint platform. So we click on the settings button and we scroll down. So here you will be able to see that these are the two control planes which are available currently. So the government plane is not here, it will be introduced later. So yeah, so currently I will be showing on the US plane, but you can change it, so it will redirect you to the EU URL. Okay, so how to log in? So it says I'm not logged in. So once I click on here, it will ask me to redirect. And yes, once it's redirect, I open it. It will ask me that to log in, and I am successfully logged in here. So you can see that my username is visible. So now I am ready to go with the YAML creation or the starting of the API lifecycle, starting with the API specification, right? So I'll click on design an API. So there are again two ways of doing all these stuffs, which are there, two or three ways. So you can either click on here or you can go with the command palette thing. Okay, so command palette is a feature of again VS Code. So Control Shift P is the shortcut for that. And if we type MuleSoft, you'll be able to see that these are the commands which are available for us while we are on the loading screen, right? So this is again part of the packages which we got. So we can select design an API, it will open the same page. Okay, so you can choose if you want to create a specification or an API fragment, right? So we'll go with the API specification. We'll create an order API here with raml specification. So you can see we have all these options, various options to choose from, similar to again design center. So I'll click on create project here, and it will start creating a project. And the most important part here is like in exchange, like in studio, we have certain prompts which are coming up on the right hand bottom corner of the screen, which we ignore normally. We go to the problems tab to check all the errors which we get. In here you have to always keep an eye on the this corner of the screen, because it asks for certain permissions which you have to like give. Otherwise something will break and it won't work properly, like how it is supposed to work. Okay, so keep an eye for the prompt. So here you can see it has loaded up the order API, and so you can see it was initializing again, and we are greeted with this page in which we can see the first two files. But again, we only have two files here. Normally we have an exchange folder and various things here. So where are they? So if you see on the bottom side, it says project dependencies. So yes, you will be able to see it here. So it's a bit of a different GUI, but yeah, it's here. So once you import any fragments or anything, it will all be loaded in the project dependency part. Okay, so now how do we start coding inside this? Because as you know, in exchange or in design center, we have like prompts coming up, right? So similarly here also the prompts are there with the control space bar intelligence feature of VS Code. So first let it load. So we'll create an order with a get function, and again control space bar, we can get to the responses and 200. So yeah, very similar to design center as you see. And examples given order. Cool. So this is how it looks normally. Now if I have to like check how it works like in the API console, so this is the button for API console. If I click here, we'll be able to see the documentation part. From here we can like run the mocking service as well, right? So if I try it and send it, we'll, so this is currently not working. That will be fixed in some time. So yeah, that's how we create a raml file using ACV. So I have a dummy code already created, so I'll use this part here. So it has a post and a get function. Okay, so it's for creating an order and retrieving an order, right? I'll just show you that. Cool. If you try it, it says 201 created, right? And if I go to the get again and give a value, it will again give me the value. Okay, so that's how we basically set up the raml file, right? Now we have to like publish this inside exchange. So again, it's the same feature of Visual Studio Code, opening the command palette, searching for what you need. So we have to publish the API specification to exchange. So we'll choose this particular option. It will ask for which business group we want to publish it to. So I'll select this one. Then it will ask for the project name. So we'll select again order API. It will ask for the artifact ID, then asset version, then API version. So I was just pressing enter so that it goes through, and it will show you this prompt that publishing API specification to exchange. And meanwhile, I'll open my exchange. So while it's publishing, if you have any questions in the chat at the same time.
Yeah, I think there are a few questions from Edward actually.
Yep.
So his first question is like, so this looks like the code builder with a lot of things is expected to work. So what is the main benefit of migrating to the Anypoint Code Builder?
Yeah, it's the speed. That's the main feature which is there currently for the Anypoint Code Builder. As you might
Okay,
have,
so
uh,
it's a lightweight actually. So
yes, it's very lightweight. It can work in browsers as well. And as you might have seen, I created an API specification as well as like did many things here. It was very quick. But in the same sense, if we consider Studio and you have like a very low end system, so it hangs sometimes and there are some problems which happens. So that is very different in here because this is a lightweight system.
yeah, and also currently to adding on top of this point. So this is currently in like improvement stage actually. So
So yeah, whatever feature I'm showing, it might change in the future as well. So yeah, we have to keep that in mind because they're still doing it. So as you can see, we got the prompt API specification successfully published to Exchange, right? And it is asking me to implement it as well. So currently I'm going with a no option because I'll be showing the different features as well. So if we go to Exchange again, we'll be able to see our asset here, like order ID has been created, order API, and it has been successfully published to Exchange. Cool. We'll be using this later in this session. Okay, so I'll be closing this for now, and I'll be going back to our MuleSoft Code Builder. So we have let it load. Cool. So here we have again two options which I talked about earlier. So design an API I have already shown. So we have the implement an API as well as develop an integration. So if we click on implement an API, it gives us an option to create an API specification or search for an API specification. So currently we created an order API, right? So if I search for that, we'll be greeted with the order API. So as you can see, all the types are REST API. Okay. So that's the implement an API specification. So if we open the develop an API, develop an integration, here we have an option to get a template as well as an example of the project. Okay. So here, if I search for again anything, you will be seeing that we get examples as well as templates. Okay. So this is the main difference between the implement an API as well as develop an integration. So if we have to like go with a specific specification and work with that, so you can go with the implement an API. Otherwise, if you want to work with the templates example or like create a blank project, you can go with develop an integration. So currently we'll go with a blank project and I'll import the API specification later in this session. Okay. So again, I'll create order eAPI because we are in the same folder. So I'm giving a different name. Create a project, and yeah, that's it's as simple as that. And we'll be again seeing the loading part here on the right hand side. So the folder structure and everything is created. So that is not a problem. It will just load all the artifacts and like get the runtime versions and everything set up for our system. In the meanwhile, yeah, it's loading. So as you can see, it says Java projects. So there can also be an issue that uh, there is a prompt which occurs, okay, which asks to allow the Java project to be uh, indexed. Okay, so if you don't select that as yes, then it won't be indexed properly and it will create a problem while running it. So always keep an eye for the prompts which are going down here, right? So you can see it is loading the Java projects. If you open these, you will see which particular client is used. So this is the extension which is currently being used, the platform extension. There were 7 of them earlier which I showed. See, all of them has a different role. throughout the whole API lifecycle journey which we follow inside ACB, right? So let this load. Yeah, it's taking a bit of time. So now the connect everything is being loaded. So yeah, we can start coding in the meanwhile while it's loading, but I want to show you after everything has been loaded, then it will unlock all the features which are currently here. You can start working with it. So yeah, so now we can see that there are no prompts here. So now how do we create or start with API implementation? So as you can see, it says project index because I have already agreed to it for this particular workspace. So you will be prompted with it. So if you agree to it, then it won't be asking it again. Okay. So yeah, we'll start by creating a basic flow. So we have two options here. You can see build a flow and build a subflow, or you can click on here, the add button, and you can get a subflow, flow, or any kind of error handler. These are the things which we can do in a basic flow, right? So I'll click on build a flow, and as you can see, we have a simple flow here, and this is the GUI which is provided from for ACB. It's not like this way, it's horizontal. Okay, so it's not vertical. uh, so this is the flow name. So you can see the flow name here. If we click on it, it will show us that these are the two values which are provided, the started state and the max concurrency. Now we want to have a listener. That's the first component. So we click on the plus button and go to listener. So yeah, it asks for building the path, class path. We agree to it, right? So now we have a listener. In here, you can see that it's asking for a configuration reference, which we don't have here. So in this current instance of ACB, we don't have the GUI for the configuration part. So we have to write it down. So again, we have a feature in Visual Studio Code which is called autocomplete or IntelliSense. So uh, if we write listener, it will automatically pick it up, and we select this HTTP listener config. So it will create a config for me, and again control space bar, and we have the connection set up here, right? So we want to match the name for the configuration reference. So now this particular configuration is mixed with this particular name. Now we want to have a simple code. So I'll just put a logger here, and in logger we'll give a success message. Cool. So now you can see that we have created a very basic flow here. And if I want to test connection, so in our studio we have a test connection button. So if I have to show that, so if I open any HTTP listener config, you have this test connection button. So in Anypoint Code Builder, you'll have a test connection button just above the configuration file, right? So as you can see, it is verifying the connection currently using this particular extension. So let it verify. So yeah, so one more thing, if we have once this has been done, I'll create another flow just by using the XML part, not using the GUI part. Okay, so how do we do that? I write a flow, creates a flow. Again, I just need a logger in it, so I can get a logger. If I suppose I don't know what are the uh, properties which are used inside this XML, so we can use control space bar and we can get the message, and again write flow 2, which we are here. So now you can see that there is only one flow which is visible here in GUI. We cannot see both the flows which are created. So you have to select this flow list here in order to see all the flows which are here. So it's not like the studio in which you can see all the flows in one single page. So you have to go in the flow list and check what are the number of flows which are here. So the connection is successful. You might have gotten a prompt. So I'll simply run it once. So we create one flow, and so how to run it? Again, we go to run and debug part here and click on the play button. So there are again two parts of how we can debug the code as well. Not debug, actually reading the logs properly. So this is the output section and this is the terminal section. These are the two sections in which we see the logs. In the output section, we have to select the MuleDX server. Okay, this is again a point. If you select this, it will show you all the logs or the errors, if any error has occurred or not. Okay, so that's the MuleDX server which we have to select in the output section, which provides you with all kinds of log. Anything which you are working with, it will show it here. Okay, so now going back to the terminal, you can see it is running. And I'll just create the postman for this. So yes, it's running. There are no issues which we can see. So that's the basic GUI which you are seeing currently. If you want to add error handler, again we can either click the plus button or you can simply write it here, which I feel that. So this is my personal opinion. While writing it in XML, it's way faster than doing the drag and drop how we did in Studio, or doing the using the GUI part here. As if you know what you are making, you can just simply type it down, flow, subflows, flow references. If you know what, if you have the diagram in your mind that this is how it is working, you can just simply write it down and it will be way faster in terms of coding and finishing a code as well, right? So we got a successful deployed message here. So I'll send it, and you can see we got a 200 OK, as well as we got the success message which we logged it. Now you'll ask that how do we use the debugger here, right? Because in Studio, that is one of the main features which most of the developers use, going to the debug mode and checking, uh, putting the breakpoints. But in here, we are already in the debug mode, right? Because the run mode is still not working that properly. So it's always in debug mode. So how do we apply the breakpoint here, right? So we want to apply a breakpoint on the logger, suppose. So this, if you click here, it will show a red dot, you can see, right? So if I click here, the red dot will be enabled. So we have put a breakpoint on this particular logger component. Okay, so if I send it again, you'll see on the right hand side it has stopped here. You can see the yellow bar is being created here, and on the left hand side you can see we have a similar mule event like how we used to see in Studio. We have the correlation ID, we have the variables, we have the whole mule message consisting of the attributes as well as the payload if we have any. Currently I'm not sending any payloads, and the parameters as well. So here is again a catch which is a bit different from Studio. In Studio, we used to run a data weave script while we are executing this. So here, that option is sadly not here. We can add a watch expression, but we cannot execute a specific data weave script while we are stopped here. Okay, so yeah, that's something which we have to keep in mind. This breakpoint sections gives us the information on all the breakpoints which are here. So yeah, that's the debug mode, and this is the controls for the debug mode. So we have resume, we have so continue is the resume for our Studio. Okay, so in Studio it's called resume, in here it's called continue, and we can step over, we can step into. So step over is like, suppose you have put a breakpoint on a flow reference and you want to go inside it, we'll go step into. If we don't want to go inside it, we want to skip it, we can go step over. So it will skip the whole flow reference. Okay, so that's what it's used for. Okay, so I'll just continue it. This will end and give a success message, and I'll stop this code for now. So that was the basics of how we can like create a basic flow from a developer's point of view. Okay, So now we want to import the API specification which we made earlier, right? So again, we'll type MuleSoft here, and we'll see the import API specification from Design Center. We'll click on here. We can select the business group. Pause that. It will no project found. Okay, I'll just search again. Refresh MuleSoft import API specification from Design Center. Maybe it has not refreshed yet. Let me check. I'll just refresh my account. Now it's logged in. I'll just close this to refresh it. And so again, one more point, that sometimes it opens up like a normal XML. So how do we see the GUI? So this option, if you click the show canvas UI, you'll be able to see this particular GUI, right? So I'll try again, MuleSoft import API specification. Okay, so it's not taking currently. There might be some issues. That's why. Yeah, no project found. So it's very similar to how we do it in Studio. So if we select the API specification, it will ask for the business group, and then you are able to select that particular thing from the exchange. Okay, so if that is not working, again, like how it's not working currently, if we open this add component tab while we click plus here, like how we were getting the listener as well as the logger, you have this magic wand thing. So it says search in exchange. So if we click here, this is similar to what we do here in Mule palette, right? We have the search in exchange. So this is similar to search in exchange. So we will be able to see all the connectors which are currently available to pick up from. So this is the order API which we made. So if you're not able to use it from the command palette, you can use the GUI. So yeah, we'll select the order API. So this is, again, it will import it as a component instead of the proper API specification. So if you want to import the specification, you have to go that way. This will be currently importing it as a API connector instead of the file which we create as an API specification. Okay, so yeah, we can see this is created now, which we created earlier. So we can call these. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it for the basic connectors. Okay, so next we'll be going to the VM arguments which we have. So most of the projects nowadays uses VM arguments because we need to like apply the environments and the secure keys while the project is running in the runtime arguments or VM arguments which we call. So how do we do that here? We use a file named launch.json. So if we open launch.json, you will be able to see this is how it looks. So in this, we have a parameter called mule.runtime.args. So at the end of this file or end of this line, you have to add it. So I just, yeah. So here you can add the m-d-mule.env, suppose test. So yeah, that's how you add the VM arguments here. So this is for like this will only create it for this particular project. So as you can see, it has created a launch.json file inside the .vs code folder inside this API. Okay, so if you want to change it for like or implement it to throughout the whole project which you are creating, for that what you have to do, I'll close this. For that we have to if you open this mule and open this settings button which we used for the control plane earlier, we have this argument section here, right? So in this you have to add it at the end of it. Okay, so we can use the same thing to apply the workers which we want to set. So suppose we want to like test with the workers like using 500 MB or something like that memory usage which we normally check in Studio, that can also be done from here. So we have to set up the runtime or the VM arguments from here. If you want to apply it for throughout the whole thing, same goes for the group ID. We can set it for throughout any APIs which we create in the future. Okay, so that's how the configuration works. Okay, so that was a brief about the VM arguments. Next is the most important feature which is there, which is called the snippets, and this is the most exciting feature as well which we have. Okay, so if we go here, click on the plus icon, so we have core components, connectors, as well as snippets. So if I click on snippet, we have two options. We have user snippet as well as built-in snippet. So first we'll talk about built-in snippet. So what it does, it basically have a chunk of code already created for you. So currently, as you might have seen, that we created a listener, we created a logger. It was just giving us just the logger and the doc name and doc ID, nothing else. So we don't know how, what are the extra components, or if we want to create a whole thing, a whole big thing, then how can we do it? Like if you want to create a whole choice router, so if you try to create a choice router here, it will just give you choice. That's it. So if you want to get the when conditions as well as the otherwise conditions, so suppose we go with the choice as an example, which I was giving. So if I click on choice, as you can see on the right hand side, it created a choice with a when condition with an otherwise condition, right? And in the GUI also you can see. So if you only create like via the normal way, it will just give you a small thing. But if you use snippets, it will like create a whole thing which is already created. So you can like explore this and check what is like under your requirement. So this is the built-in snippets which is like provided by MuleSoft. Now, the main feature here is the user snippet. So how to use this? Because what happens that there are many projects which follow like a similar way of working. Like we need to have a logger, we need to have certain flows, we need to have a certain error handler. So why make it every time, right? So like normally people put all the flow references here and there to like import the uh, flows, or you want to import some loggers or something, some specific loggers which are always needed, right? So for that we can use user snippets. Okay, so it will, you can create a whole thing with just a two liner or three line of words. So it will create you a whole chunk of like flows inside that. It's a listener, you have a logger, you have a set payload, you have a set variable, everything can be written here in the mule xml.json, and it will be used to like create the whole big flow in just one line of code, or two or three letters, right? I'll show you how it works. So currently this is all commented, so I'll just uncomment this. So this is a log message, it's called log message, and this is the body, this is the prefix. So this is what it will show while we are trying to use it inside the XML part. This is the name which it will show while we are trying to use it from the GUI part. Okay, and this is the code which is there. So currently it says it will create a logger. This is the value, this is the message, and the doc IDs and everything. So we are only using one currently. So you can create it more, and this can be like shared across the whole thing. As you are seeing the address which is here, it's like my local system address, it's not the workspace's address. Okay, so that's why. So I'll just save this. So once it is saved, we'll go back here, we'll close this, and if I open it again, I will be able to see this log message, right? So if I click here and click on the log message, you can see the difference between both the loggers. So this was the old logger which I created, and this is the new logger which is created via uh, the snippet. So as you can see, it has the level, it has the message. So earlier it was only this part which was created using just the logger, right? So that was using the GUI. If you want to use it via the XML part, so I type log, and you can see the square icon which is there. So this is called as this identifies that this is the snippet. Okay, so if you click here, it will just simply create the whole thing. So you can write a big code as well. This one currently only has one logger. You can have like error handlers and most of the things, and you can create the whole document type of thing, and you just use write two letters and it will just create the whole thing. So yeah, it saves a lot of time which we like spend in doing repetitive tasks most of the time, like getting the logger set, getting the error handler set. So this saves a lot of time. Okay, so yeah, that was the basics of snippet. Now I'll just talk about a certain few things which are like required for a normal developer to get started with. Like, how do we create a new file? Normally we have three files here, right? We have an implementation, we have a configuration, and we have the main file. So suppose if I have to have a create a new file called order hyphen e api hyphen config .xml. So how do we start with this? This is a blank file. We don't have anything to start with. So again, we do control spacebar and click on mule empty mule configuration. So it will create you the whole dummy thing. Okay, these are like some tips and tricks which I have explored. So yeah, that was that. If you want to create again a transform message, like data weave is very important, right? So again, I use the snippet as you see, so it creates the whole thing instead of just giving me a transform message. Okay, so how do we test this? Like in MuleSoft, if we are using the transform message, we have the output panel, right? So here, if you click on anywhere on this data weave script, right, anywhere, you'll see this tooltip icon. If you click on this tooltip icon and click on run preview, you will be able to see a new bar open, and it will show you what is the expected output. So yeah, we don't use it normally, but again, this is a feature which is available, which we can use similar to Studio. Okay, so now coming to the last part of the whole presentation, which is how do we deploy this to Cloud Hub, right? So it only supports Cloud Hub 1.0 currently. So yeah, that is that. We can go up to a runtime version 4.6.3, and yeah, we cannot use Java version 117. We can only use Java version 8 currently. So that these are the limitations and features currently. So how do we do that? We can either click on deploy to Cloud Hub from here, or we can again use the command palette to deploy to Cloud Hub. You can use any of these options. So we click on here. So what happens? It creates a new resource called deploy.json. This is used in order to make the deployment. So this is the specification which we are provided, that the runtime version will be 4.4.0. The worker size is this. This is the worker. It will auto start. So I'll give a name which won't create any problems. I'll save this, and if I have to like deploy it again, now as we have the file, you can click here again, and it will ask you which environment. I'll click sandbox, and we can see the deployment has started. It will show me the build has been successful, and if I go back here to runtime manager, we will be seeing a deployment happening. We should be seeing a deployment happening. Let it load. Sandbox. Yep, so it's deploying. Just failed to deploy for some reason. Let me try again. So we are seeing some errors which says it has failed in the execution part. I guess it doesn't have a dependency. Let me just quickly check. Yes, it doesn't have a dependency. Let me just quickly add it. So we have this HTTP connector. Let me get it from here. So we need to have like all the things which are important for deploying a code. So I'll just run it again and check if okay. Remove the transform message, and I'll quickly run it. In the meanwhile, we can like have any questions which we have while this is running, because it will take some time.
I think we have some questions from Ramachandran in the chat window. Shivam, you can check and answer it.
Okay. So yes, in the example you showed write to data, is it possible to check output by at the runtime in debug mode? Yes, so no, we cannot do that again. So the tooltip works while we are developing, not while we are uh, working in this environment, like while in the debug mode. So we don't have that luxury currently. So we can check the tooltip. You can check the tooltip button while we are like testing it, but again, it will only show the output for that particular data wave script. It won't be with that output which is or the input which is coming. Okay, so yeah, we cannot use it with the input which is coming. So yeah, that's if that answers the question, I guess.
Yeah, I think maybe I'll read the next question for you. So, how to make the snippets available across all the projects, and how to make it available for all the developers? So, is it possible to publish it to Exchange and reference it? So, maybe something like the DataWeave library. He
Hmm.
refers if there is anything available with ACB for the snippets.
Okay, so yes, currently that is not available, like publishing it to Exchange, but the file which I showed you right earlier, uh, you can access it from here as well. So this is like a feature of Anypoint Code Builder. So it's like global for your all the projects which you create. Okay. So if I go to configure snippets and open the mule-xml, so this is, as you can see, the location for this file is inside my users folder, right? It's not inside that particular project. So if you just paste this code or pass it throughout all the developers which you have, and everyone paste it inside their mule xml.json, it will work similarly. So all the projects will have these snippets, all the projects. So if I have to give an example, I can create a simple project and you will be able to see that this is the snippet which I created earlier working in that other project as well. Okay, so if I like close this, close all, say we are seeing an error, I just use a working project, close folder, open, and I'll use this test server. So I have this dummy code in my system. I'll just open it and yes, it's still loading, but I can show you the snippets part. So as you can see, we can see that particular log message. Uh, yeah. So if I have to type, we can see that particular snippet here as well in that particular in the different project, right? So yeah, it's created here. So yeah, that's how it works, the whole thing. Okay, that's the part for the snippets. Anything else which we have? I'll just create a dummy listener till then and try to deploy this. Just showcase it. I'll just check for questions till it's building. And one more feature that the what do you call the source control which we have using the repositories. So that can also be like implemented through the application itself. So suppose you have like cloned a project from a different environment, right? Or from a tree from Git, suppose. Okay, so if I open that particular project, right, we have a test project created. So this I was using. So this is a cloned project from particular project. You'll be able to see that we have now in the source control part. So you have to log in via your GitHub or any platform which you are using for repository management, and you will be able to see the source control thing here. So let this load. Yeah, so if you enable this MuleDX server, you will be able to see what are being loaded and what is going on in the project. So yes. Yes, it's still loading. I do a small change here.
Shubham, in the meantime, there is a question from Ramachandran again. So his question is about: is it possible to place two applications in debug mode, and like we do it in the studio via debug configuration?
Uh, Let me check. So you can open one project at a time. If we are using a folder-based thing, if you have opened it via workspace, then you might be. But I haven't tested it, so I won't comment on that. But yeah, you might be able to run it. But yeah, I'm not very sure about that.
Okay.
So yeah, once you are seeing, I have opened this project, which is like GitHub thing. So if I click on the source control, you will be able to see that it is linked with the repository. Okay, so yeah, it will be easy to collaborate with your team if you use this thing. So it has everything built in. As you're seeing, we have Git as well, built in this particular same environment, one place. You can do everything. Okay. Yep. So yeah, that was it, I guess. I'll try to see if I can deploy this, but yeah, it doesn't want to get deployed. Um, Test actions, sandbox. So there are still some changes which are like on the way while we are testing it. So it's still not like completely all the features are not available. Like we don't have munit still. Uh, we cannot deploy it to Cloud Hub 2, and certain features which are there in Studio but not in ACB because they are still pushing the changes, making some new things, like testing it out. So yeah, please keep that in mind when we are like doing this. Okay, name already used just action, uh, something like this. Success. So that those were all the topics. Is build success. I just talk about a bit about the comparison between ACB as well as Studio. So yeah, you can see it has started deploying with the runtime version 4.4.0, and we can check, go to manage application and see the settings which we applied. So here we have one worker, 0.1 vCores, and yeah, Java version 8. So yeah, whatever we have enabled, it will just upload the jar. Okay. So yeah, that was the development part, deployment part as well from the ACB. Uh, so I'll just show the differences which I found out. So we have like this Anypoint Studio is built on Eclipse, as we know. This is based on Visual Studio Code. So this is like easy to learn Studio. Whoever is using Studio for past like 3-4 years, they'll know that it's a very easy drag and drop tool which we have. This one has a steep learning curve, but it is way faster compared to Studio. Okay, while in terms of coding speed, okay, this has Mule palette, this has command palette. That's the difference. This has like the global configuration XML, which we have, right? The global configurations part. So we can have we can see the GUI part in the Anypoint Studio, but here we have to like edit it in the XML part. So yeah, it's Studio is recommended for the new developers, and this is recommended for the developers who are coming from like Java background or who like to code inside VS Code. If they move here, they'll be having an easy time to like understand all the features which are here. Okay, so this is again the speed thing which I talked about earlier. That's the main advantage which we have with ACB, right? And this is Studio takes a lot of space on your system as well, right? So this can be used in web, like in the browser. You can create a cloud instance and use it. So this is very lightweight tool which we have currently. So yeah, that's the main difference between Studio as well as ACB. Okay, so as we saw, the deployment is done. If we check logs, yeah, so yeah, that's all from my end. I'll stop sharing. There is one more thing. So Shakti, if you can resume your screen sharing.
Yeah, sure. Sure. 1 minute.
So next of this, one more.
Sure.
Yes, so this is the roadmap for 2025. So as you can see, there is a red line on the bottom which says all the roadmap items are subject to change. So this is like not final. They can change it going to the future as well. So as you can see, there are many things which are coming in June, right? The data wave expression builder, the runtime supports, the Java 17 support, the async API support, the Cloud Up 2, the generative flows, which I talked about earlier, which will be like making our lives a lot easier. We just give a prompt and it will create the whole code for us. MUnit supports is planned for the October. Again, data weave will get a proper enhancement, so it will look like the data wave playground how we have in the browser. So that part of thing is coming as well. So yeah, so we'll have the government control plane as well coming in later. And as you can see, in 2025 they are thinking of improving and putting the connection configurations with a UI which is not available. So yeah, this is like this can change in the future, like it can go further or it can come earlier. So yeah, that's the whole thing. I'll also recommend, if you are like starting to work newly with ACB, I'll recommend that while you are reading any blogs which are like already available, please recommend any blogs which are like after February 2024, because the design part has changed a lot in terms of like ACV. So there are many features which are now here, and there are some features which are removed from the old one. So yeah, keep that in mind. Any blogs which are like after February, those will be like the latest ones. Any tutorials as well. So yeah, please keep that in mind. And yeah, that's all from my end. Okay, I'll take the questions.
Yeah, thanks, Shubham. I'll read out for you, I think.
Yeah.
So there is one question from Shiba. It's about is it possible to import the ACB Mule project into Anypoint Studio, vice
Vice
versa?
Yes, it is. So as I just showed you that I imported a file like test actions, there was a project which was like which I created in Anypoint Studio. So I can simply import it here. So it works both ways because it's the same structure. Okay. Okay, is there any possibilities to have devs and studio and VS working at the same code base? Uh,
Yeah, I think it doesn't make any difference because you'll be having Git at the back end, and so either you make changes with the studio or with VS, so those should be reflected back to your code base. So I think it's not a big difference actually.
it's the same thing. You can open both of them like in Studio as well as in VS Code, the same project. And you make changes, it will reflect in the other as well as when you're pushing the code because it shares the same folder, which is like the imported folder which you got cloned. So yes. So the answer is yes. Yeah.
Okay. I think there are some questions in Q&A tab also, I think. Okay, so it's related to the announcements. Okay, I answered it. I'll answer it again here. So the first question is about, does Studio comes with Java 17 by default?
Studio.
Um, yeah, I think Shubham.
So it's on Studio, I guess.
Yeah, so Anypoint Studio 7.1.7, 7.17.0, it basically contains the support for both Java 8 and Java 17. The thing is that when we do the compilation, we need to choose whether we are going to run the application with Java 8 or Java 17. So if in case that if we are choosing Java 17 and we are migrating it to Java 17, then the important thing to note down is that we need to update the connectors to support Java 17 as well. And also at the API gateway level, we need to update our API policies, also custom policies, to be in sync with Java 17 actually. So this is a very important thing. So let's say if you're compiling an application in Java 8 and if we are just changing the runtime model to Java 17, it won't work directly. There are cases it might work, but definitely it would create a lot of compilation issues. So when we migrate it, we need to upgrade our connector versions, and also policies. So which we can check in the connector release notes. So on a certain version, it would support Java 17, and also for the policies, in the policy versions, we can see whether it is supporting Java 17 or not. So those changes are mandatory. So that is a very important point actually. And yeah, and the second question is distributed tracing available for everyone? No, this is not available for Cloud Hub 1.0 users, so basically customers. So this is purely for Cloud Hub 2.0 and then the RTF customers. And also, this is currently in beta version, so which means that it is in the testing phase. So there may be bugs and there may be trial and error fixes. So yeah, so this is not available currently for everyone. So this will be released soon. Actually, they will be it will be released soon for the customers who are having CH2, Cloud 2.0 and RTF later this year. Yeah.
I
So
think we
please
have
feel free
other
to add
questions.
your questions actually in Q&A or in the chat so that we will try to address it.
Yeah. Mm, can we move on to the next?
Yeah, I'll just wait for a few moments. Shakti, like
Sure.
let them. Let's have some. Yeah, we'll just wait for another few minutes, 1 or 2 minutes for your questions, and we can move for the next section. Yeah, I think hopefully we are fine. I think maybe we can go for the next section. Shakti.
Okay. So our next section would be like the quiz, which we plan for this session. So now we would ask you to go to the menti.com and then like okay, enter the joining code as 627122290.
Yeah, there is one small correction. The code has changed actually. I'll update the code actually.
Sure.
3920.
You can
Sorry for
just
the
enter that
confusion.
in this one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll let me share my screen. Shakti. Can
Yeah.
you?
I will just stop now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll have a short quiz, and there are no prizes for it. We are really sorry for that because MuleSoft has stopped providing any prizes or any certifications for it. So this is just for our understanding and on the knowledge that we gather through the session, and also to uh, cheer Shubham that you have been active and you have been listening to him patiently so far. So please join with the code. Take up your mobiles or from the laptop. Log into minty.com, move into minty.com, and then just use the code 2749 3920. Yeah, we just have one person. I think probably we are 15 in the group. So hope to see more joining. I'll just wait for another 1 or 2 minutes. So we'll have at least 10 participants. Okay, I think probably we can start. So these are very simple questions only, guys. So you can join. Okay, let's go with our first question. Okay, we already have 10 players. Nice. Ouch. So try to answer quick so that you'll get more points. Okay, nice. The answer is mule-xml.json.
Awesome.
I've been so interactive.
I made it
So
specifically tricky. So
yeah, I think Millie, the fastest one, get more points. So let's go to the next question. Okay, the second question. So, which of the below components supports the runtime properties definition in Anypoint Code Builder? I think this is a very simple question, I guess. Yeah. So
4 people.
most of them are right. That's good. Okay, now see who is leading it. Okay, it's ribbit, I think. Right here. Okay, let's go to the next one. This is the final question, guys. So, when a MuleSoft application is deployed from ACB, does it create an asset in exchange or not? So, this is a simple yes or no question. So, everybody said no, yeah, and most of them were right. Cool. Then let's see the leaderboard who is winning it.
It's very close.
Yeah, it's really close, I guess.
No.
Okay, so the rebate, I am really not sure the original name of the guy, but it's a really good attempt. Thank you so much. Okay, and following to that, we'll just have a short feedback session about this meetup, and then also some upcoming topics that you are interested to that you are interested for us to host it up for the next meetup. So again, you can just go to your meti.com and can use the below code. Just give a heart in once you are there. Yeah, so we'd like to have some feedback about this meetup, like what went good, what went wrong, and what we have to improve. So yeah, thanks Oliver for the message. Okay, so we got some responses. So we'd like everybody to have some responses. Yeah, yeah, that's good. Cool, then we'll just wait for another minute to have more responses. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Nice demo. Yeah, Shubham.
Thank you.
Great demo, yeah. Great template, creating template project. Okay.
Yeah, so the template part you can refer to the links which will be provided. So that like gives a very good insight on how to create the proper templates or the snippets which is there. So yeah, it will be very helpful.
Yeah, sure. Anypoint best practices. Okay, maybe that is the topic for the next session, I guess. So then we will move. Okay, we have got 13 responses and most of them were positive. So thank you guys.
Thank
I'll
you all.
just go to the next slide. So this is about the meetup for the topic for the next meetup. So we were planning for the telemetry exporter. So maybe we will plan something related to it. How do we export it to any third-party tool, which we are still need to explore it. And yeah, so we will try to cover your interest actually. Yeah, sure. I think the RTF we already have had the meetup last year and
And
before that. So you can go to our YouTube channel and you can refer it there, RTF and even archetype. And yeah, MUNet, yeah, sure, we'll cover it up. RPA, yeah, sure, we haven't done yet. We can give it a try. And uh, okay, endpoint best practices with example for each case by importing Mule recommended practices, sure. And any more topics that you would be more interested? Or maybe the Mule runtime upgrade also related to connectors and and also policies. Okay,
I'll be
more deep
interested.
in.
I'll be interested in getting like a session on custom policies. So
Okay, yeah, sure.
I can give that actually. So yeah.
Yeah, sure. We'll do that actually. So we will have small topics, and then we'll club it together into
Plan.
a meetup. So that would be helpful actually. So
That's
yeah,
good.
most of them are developer based topics, development based topics. Yeah, sure. And yeah, Ramachandran, we will be allowing you to speak. Just give us a minute. We'll just collect the feedbacks, and we will enable the
We
presenter
would have
mode for
a networking
everyone.
session.
Yeah, so we'll have a networking session
For sure.
coming. Okay,
So
so I think RPA is the most
asked.
expected topic, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah. Okay, cool. Then with this, I'll just thank you everyone for your prompt responses. I'll close this session. I'll hand it over to Shakti. Um, so
Yeah.
he will be
Thank you,
taking us
Ganesh.
for the last session actually.
Yeah. All right. So what's next? So we'll be sharing all the like we'll be tweeting your pictures with the hashtag Mule Meetup. You can share it to us with Mule Meetups, and invite your networks to join like in the meetup.mulesoft.com/Munich. You can send us all the feedbacks to all the organizers. That's we love feedbacks as well, and all the recordings of this Anypoint Code Builder demo and today like will be posted into YouTube channel. And yeah, interested to be a speaker, like you can connect with us to do the next session with us. Thank you guys. And our LinkedIn profile is like MuleSoft Meetup Munich Meetups, so you can also join over there. And next is like
Yeah, just enable the presenter mode for everyone, so everybody can turn on your cameras and also mics, and you can
yeah.
speak through it. So it would be yeah, we'll have a network session. Like we'll click some pictures, and then
So
we'll
yeah,
wrap up the event.
please do not end the event for all. Just close the browser or click on the leave event before you go. If you end it, like everything will get end up, and then we won't be able to connect each other.
Yeah. Okay, there is something in the chat. Thank you for all your time and effort. It was interesting, and I'll give ACB a try. Wow, that's good. Thanks, Mike. And we'll drop from the call though, as I have to go. Okay, have a nice day. Thanks a lot. And
Yeah,
yeah, maybe if you could turn on your cameras and mics, we can just have a short uh, session, and we can close it up. Maybe I think Shakti have to stop sharing your screen, I guess.
sure.
Yeah, guys, just turn on your cameras and mics. So now you can turn on your mics and also cameras. So it would be good. Hey, Ramchandra, I see that you enabled your mic. I think you can speak now.
Yep. Thank you. Hey,
Sure.
thanks, guys. It was really a great session. Able to hear me?
Yeah, we are able
Yeah,
to
yeah,
hear you.
able to hear
Oh,
you.
perfect, perfect. So yeah, also I put in the chat was a good insights on ACB and the release cadence.
Nice talk. Yeah.
It's good to know, and then also the demo was on a good pace. We can follow, and then quickly I can also try what Shivam is talking about. And the other two things that I want to ask is one regarding in any point best practices, which Shivam also interested to give a session on the custom rule set, because it was
Yeah.
it was quite challenging. In our organization, we're trying to implement the best practices, which is recommended by MuleSoft, but
Okay.
understanding the rule sets and probably you might have gone through that. It's quite challenging, at least to me. uh,
Yeah,
it,
that's
it's
true.
not
That's
that
fine.
easy. It's not that easy, and the enforcement is like, yeah, you have to implement the one which is provided by the MuleSoft, not going through a to a custom rule set. So they, yeah, organization believe that whatever MuleSoft provides with respect to best practices, we have to implement it. So that's why I put in the next topic as well. So if you
could give us a presentation or demo
Yeah, sure.
by
Yeah.
covering those cases, that would be really helpful. And I also looked up in the all the forums and in the YouTube. It is more of theoretical and then just touch base on few rule set, custom rule set, but nobody is talking about the A to Z of the AC, with the best practices. So that's something interesting. I believe that will be beneficial for all developers who's using MuleSoft. That's my 1 cents to add to this.
Okay, okay, sure.
And regarding a template, yeah, that's also something I looked up. I don't know where to look. Maybe if you guys have any good documentations. I basically what I'm referring is to create one template project to undistribute across the organization. That should include basic logging to POM with all the dependencies to deploy to either to a Cloud Hub or Cloud Hub 2.0, all the all these basic things, and then just basic listener with one flow, with the basic error handlings, those kind of stuff. I just want to just make one template and provide across and deliver across all I mean across the organization. I
Okay.
don't see anything something like that, so that's also something would be an interesting if you guys can give a
Okay,
presentation on that topic.
there are some third party. So just to answer your question related to this,
Hmm.
so there are some third party tools available. So like
Hmm.
you can check it out in Integral Zone.
Hmm.
So they support so these kind of setup or maybe um, like they help you with these kind of requirements. Maybe you can just give it a try. It's
Hmm.
Integral Zone, or you
Okay.
will get some idea about it. I'm not saying that you have to go and you have to choose that
Okay.
option, but it's one of the ideas that they share. And yeah, about the templates, I think in the C4G MuleSoft C4G page, you can find more information. I guess for
Okay.
the when we go through the Center for Enablement, right? So in the MuleSoft Center for Enablement,
Hmm.
so there for any particular process or for any particular steps, you will have the documentation
Hmm.
or the template that you may require. But I'm not exactly sure whether it covers the developer level templates also. It
Hmm.
should be having it. Maybe you can do check there. And one another option is that you can try with some third party tools like integration Joule or something like that.
Okay.
So they are also offering some templates. You can take a look. I'm not saying that you have to go through it. Okay.
Okay.
But
Just
one thing to value addition, like did you Ramchandra, did you explore the Maven archetype or something?
To some extent, not I'm not an expert of that. I'm just
Yeah, if you like explore that one bit more, maybe it can give you good templates. Like
okay.
we explored in like in past project, we created like soap template, desk template, and queue based application or async based or batch based application. We create a template like whatever you are doing. You are
Okay.
creating a template and passing on. You can create a single batch script and keep all this template ready and make it like mentor, like you want to generate this one or this one batch script that can be helpful. Just to give a heads up.
Okay. Good to know. Thanks, Shiba.
yeah, I think cool then. Thanks, Shiva. It's been so long that like we were colleagues actually. We were when we were in Bangalore, we worked for the same client actually. So we were from the same company also when we were in India, not now, but yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I'm also from Bangalore only, so yeah.
yeah,
Was was really a nice space, Shibam.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks.
cool then. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much.